Good evening. Thank you for joining us at New Day Fellowship Church, growing church, new vision for a multicultural generation. We thank you for joining us this evening. And remember, this is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Let's get to the point because these people are phenomenal. This couple together can do a whole lot of different things, and they come as a package. And not only that, but they have a lot of different talents and a lot of gifts that they possess. And I got excited when they was telling us, and I say us, my wife and I, about all what they do, and it kind of bedazzled us because all the information that they know, and not only that, but they've been around, and they're not from this area, but they're from different areas, and it's important to get people from different areas to come to this area and then catch us up of from back in cowboy days to naturalism, the natural day. So I really do appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Randall and Debbie Evans. And also, if you're on Facebook, I need you to push like, comment, and share. And if you're on YouTube, push like, comment, and subscribe. Say it one more time. If you're on Facebook, push like, comment, and share. If you're on YouTube, push like, comment, and subscribe. And also remember to push the bell notification to know that we are live. So it is live. It's Wednesday afternoon. It's about 6:31, 6:32 by now, and we're going to get to the meat of this information. I thank you all for coming. Appreciate y'all coming and sharing with us. And I just got elated that you all invited us over to your home, and it was like a museum slash a beautiful home. I said, man, they got it all going on. I was just waiting for that bear rug lay down with his mouth right there. So that's the only thing I was missing. But I know next time I come, you all will have it. But it's all right. So it's all great.
Well, thank you for having us, Pastor. We appreciate being here today.
I appreciate y'all coming, and like I said, you all come as a package, and so this is so excited, and you're from the Indianapolis, Chicago area, and you're from the Memphis area, So first of all, just tell us how y'all met, because I mean I know about it, but they don't know about it. But it was like a storybook. I mean, because I'm serious. I mean, you see it on a Hallmark, you see it on Lifeline, but really to see it act out and it was for real, and how you explained it, how this happened, and I was elated, like, wow, this is for real. So which one y'all want to break in and talk about it?
I'll break in.
Okay.
I'll break in. Pastor Beeman, thank you so much for having us this evening. I do thank you so much for having us this
You're
evening,
welcome.
Pastor Beeman. My
You're
husband
awesome.
and I, we've been married, by the way, we celebrated our second anniversary.
Amen.
May 1st of this year. And it's important for me to also say that we've lived in Temple now since February of 21. And so we feel a kinship and feel like we're home. It's another home for us. It's certainly not where we were born and raised, but it's where we call home now. And so we live not too far from here, and we're excited to be in Temple. And so we have hit the ground running.
Definitely.
We are busy with our organizations. And I'm a sorority and Links Incorporated and Neighborhood Association and things of that sort. And so we've really tried, and then Randall's with Masons and working full time. So we've really tried to do what citizens do. When you move to a new place, you get to figure it out and call it home. But to your question was about our story. So I met Randall through a friend of his, who is a gentleman who one of my girlfriends in Indianapolis was a consultant to him. And it was an evening where I had just finished moderating a panel of women. One was a mayor, one was president of city council of Indianapolis, one was a state representative, One worked for the city of Indianapolis. They were women in government, various levels of government. And so we had finished our presentation, and then because we knew each other personally, we had come off the dais and we were just in the room just catching up. And there was Randall's friend. And he was acting kind of strange. We later found out that he was trying to take a picture of me and send it to Randall, because the friend had shared the conference brochure electronically with Randall, and Randall had asked him, unbeknownst to me or any of the women who were at that session, Randall had asked him, do you know this lady? And he was talking about me. So turns out, long story short, we, the ladies in the room, trying to figure out what George was doing with the camera, found out he's trying to get the picture, and ultimately that picture led to exchanging telephone numbers, and Randall and I went on a fantastic 6-hour date.
Wow, 6 hours.
In July of 2019, and ultimately married and moved to, well, we actually got married in Temple. So that's our story. There's a lot of other good things in there. Like,
Tell us all.
I
Tell it
didn't-
all.
I
Don't leave
didn't-
nothing out.
Like, I didn't really know him. We weren't in the same circles. We just not in the same circles is weird, because I kind of know when I move to a city, I get to know everybody. I know the mayor, the chiefs, the Indians, the cooks, the grocery store clerks, the beauty salon owner. I know everybody, because I think everybody has a voice in a community. So I get to know everybody. So you and Dr. Beeman are not the only ones who have sat at our table, because I think it's important for us to get immersed into a community. So the 6-hour date, which at a time I had not been dating for years, and I was fine with that, because I had a good group, still do, a good solid group of girlfriends, and we did everything. We traveled the world. We went on Broadway. We ate fried fish together on Fridays. We played cards. We did everything. We went to church together. We were in the sorority. We did all of these things. But this gentleman was a perfect gentleman on our first date. And it was so impressive after
say it
coming
again.
out of a
Perfect
drought.
gentleman.
Perfect
Perfect.
gentleman.
Oh,
Perfect.
Y'all gentlemen hear that? A perfect gentleman. Okay.
So I am the beacon of hope for some of my real close girlfriends who were like, just 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we were all still hanging out. And we keep our connections as girlfriends, of course, but I can't tell you all the other stuff. But
Okay.
there's really good stuff. It's
Well,
a good,
once the mic
story.
go off, then
Okay, it's a good story.
Well, I'll give you a little bit of backstory before all of that happened. My friend George Guy and I obviously do a lot of public speaking, and he would share events that he was going to, and I would share information on events I was going to. And just so happens that weekend I was actually emceeing an event, and when he sent me the brochure of the event he was going to, I was just thumbing through the catalog, looking for the pastor of my church, because he always went to these large events. So as I'm flipping through the catalog looking for the picture of my pastor, Debbie's picture, her smile just kept jumping off the page at me. So I kept turning and looking, and then I kept going back. Now I'm looking some more through the brochure, and I kept going back to her photos. So that's when I asked him, Pastor Johnson's not in this brochure, but who is this lady, Debbie Simmons Wilson? And he goes, I don't know. I'm like, well, her smile is just something amazing to me. And we left it at that. I'm at my event while I'm emceeing, and my phone's going off in my pocket. And when I finally come down off of the podium speaking, I look at my phone, and it's my friend George saying, hey, I think I'm standing next to the lady you asked me about. And I asked him, send me a photo so I can make sure it's her. So the part of the story where Debbie picks up that he's acting strange trying to get these photos because he was trying to get a photo so I could confirm that she was the person that I asked him about, which precipitated him sharing my phone number and us connecting in just a few short weeks and having a first date. And that first date was the beginning of what we have now is an amazing relationship in marriage. So.
I like your smile.
But that's what it all started with, just her picture in a brochure and her smile, that beautiful smile that she has now that just jumped off the page at me.
Wow.
So it all started with a smile.
Well,
She
thank
said-
you, Mr. Evans.
You're welcome, Mrs. Evans.
She said, come get me. I'm just only for you. Like Jane Bond, for your eyes only.
Yeah, so we met and had our first date end of July 2019. And then shortly thereafter, in September, I received an award in my field as an insurance regulator. And it was a national award, Insurance Regulator of the Year. And on the heels of that, I received several job offers. So at the time I'm starting to date Debbie, I'm now getting these job offers to relocate to other states. So Texas screamed the loudest and made me the best offer and asked me if I would be interested in coming out to meet their team. And that was in November of 2019.
Okay.
And Debbie came out with me, exploring Austin, Texas. Didn't know anything about Austin, had never been to Austin before. So we took that weekend and I met with the Texas folks and decided I wanted to come. Not knowing what that meant for our new relationship. But, God has a way of making sure that you know what he wants you to have. So
Right.
I moved, and Debbie drove with me in the end of December 2019. I got off the highway in Austin, Texas on December 28th. So I moved just that quickly. And then March 2020, pandemic hits. Everyone's working from home. Debbie's working from home in Indianapolis and decided to come out into Austin and work from Austin. And just 9 months in, February of 2020, March of 2020 is when I proposed. Not thinking she's got this wonderful life in Indianapolis. She's on the member of several boards, girlfriends, owns a business in Indianapolis. And here I'm thinking, I'm going to make this work. So sure enough, it worked.
It was the right thought. It was the right thought, the right time, and the right plan, I think. And timing is everything.
Yes. It
So-
is.
Yep.
It
So
is.
we lived the first year in Austin in 2020, and then we purchased our home here in Temple, February of 21.
And I first met you all at a night out, neighborhood night out. And of course, that neighborhood we live in, you all stuck out like a thumb, a sore thumb. I stuck out like a sore thumb. So I had to go introduce myself to y'all. And then, you hand me your business card and stuff. And they said, and you said, we live right. I said, right. Wow. I said, man, I went home real fast. Teresa, guess what? I met this new couple, and they're, and so, so we gotta, check them out and everything. And, one thing led to another, and we just, got the hidden spots and everything. So everything just worked out just fine. But let's get back to that storybook. Because, when I left y'all home after you all talked about it, it was just in my mindset. I'm like, wow. A perfect gentleman on the first date. 6 hours. That's something.
Well, I grew up watching my grandparents be so in love with each other that, we as children couldn't stand to see it because we didn't know what it was. We think, look at daddy, ooh, he kissing her and all this. So what that translates for me is watching my grandfather be such a gentleman to my grandmother and seeing how happy it made her. He would take her to the grocery store, drop her off at the door. And he would pull to the back of the parking lot, read his book while she's in there shopping. When she's done, she walked out the grocery store. He pulls up. She gets in the vehicle. He loads all the groceries into the vehicle, goes home. She gets out. She goes in the house. He brings the groceries in, and they proceed to put the groceries up together. My grandmother didn't have a driver's license, so my grandfather took her everywhere she went. He was a Mason. She was an Eastern Star. When she had meetings, he would drive her. When she get out of the car, he's standing there with an umbrella, walk her to the door. He'd get back in his vehicle, go sit in the vehicle and read books while she's doing whatever it is that she's doing. but he treated her like a queen. And they were very happy together. And just to see two people genuinely in love, and at their age, you would think they were some 20, 30-somethings just meeting each other for the first time. But they had such a connection. Their love was just so beautiful that if there's anything in this world that I can emulate from my family and take upon myself to emulate that, it's the love that my grandfather had for my grandmother.
Wow.
So that's what translates to me being a gentleman, seeing how he treated my grandmother. And there's no better example for me than watching my grandfather be such a gentleman to my grandmother all those years.
Now, let me say this. I was totally receptive to having a gentleman in my life. You know, even though some of my previous experiences, relationships, you know, I'd been married once before, but they weren't always a kind of a mutual level of respect and adoration for each other. I can honestly say that there are times that I feel that Randall adores me, and it's a very new feeling for me as a woman to know that my spouse adores me and wants to take me, wants to drive me, wants to open the door. You know, that
Gentleman.
I don't have to be that 1,000% superwoman that I grew up being from the age of 10. And so he talks about a relationship that his grandfather and grandmother had. I was the oldest of 10 kids when my dad abandoned our family, and my mother went on to work. And so I was there. I was left as the oldest of 6 kids to figure out, you know, getting everybody up out of bed and cooking some oatmeal or some cream of wheat. You know, we're from Memphis, and so we ate oatmeal and cream of wheat regularly. And getting them all together, and we would hold hands and go from the public housing projects that we lived in, walking across, it felt like miles, to get to the babysitter and kindergarten and elementary school. And so I grew up being very resourceful and being able to take care of a lot of things very independently. So even going back to the first date, when we finished dinner, and he ordered, by the way, and it was a sushi restaurant, which I love sushi, but I did not know that there were a lot of brothers who would eat sushi. So here we were in a place where I was already impressed by him from the jump because of where he had selected. But when we finished our dinner, he put his arm out for us to, and said, "Would you like to walk around downtown?"
Wow.
That type of that you just don't get.
Right.
It's just not. I've never gotten it before, but like I said, very receptive to it. You know, every human being wants to be loved.
Yes, yes.
I truly believe that, and so when you see it, when you find it, it's good to show appreciation.
My eyes adored you. All them old songs be popping up. I mean, it's just phenomenal just to, you know, meet you all, and you all have the a right connection as in relationship. And, you know, and people need to hear this. So sometimes people have been married before and they say, well, we're not going to marry no more. You know, we tried it once. But, you know, get back up, dust yourself off, and move on. It's awesome. And, you know, and not only that, but, you know, you all have instilled into us that it's possible. It can happen, you know, and forget about the negativity, forget about anything that has stopped you before, and just get back out there and try it again. And so, you know, you all are, like saying, it's a storybook tale, but it's not a storybook tale, it's a storybook truth, what you all are doing. So I really do appreciate that. I appreciate the sincerity. I appreciate the a friendship that we have rekindled, and all of that, but have developed. So it's awesome, So I know that you all have also talents and gifts that's inside of you all. And when Randall was bragging on his lovely wife and saying, okay, she does this, and does that, does this. Tell us some things that you're doing. But before you do that, I opened up Text Appeal, and the first page I looked up and I said, "Hey, ain't that Debbie?" And I said, "Trish, ain't that Debbie?" She said, "I don't know." She said, "No, look, that's got to be her, And so on Text Appeal, where only certain people get in Text Appeal. So I said, "Boy, she's in it." So I said, "She's got it going on then." So I got so excited.
There's something, and I'll let Debbie tell a story about Text Appeal, but there's something to be said when Debbie says we immerse ourselves in the community that we're a part of. We do just that. We don't feel that your home is the only thing that's in your community. You should be in your community. It's not enough to have an address. You need to be communicating with your neighbors, getting involved in associations. When people say, "Oh, there's nothing to do in Temple," we stay busy. And just about every place we go, we see you or members of your church at these events. But there's so many things to get involved in here in Temple. But you start with getting to know the people. So while I work a full-time job, my office is downtown Austin. Debbie and I started a consulting business here, and she's also an owner of one in Indianapolis. Her days are relatively free for her to meet many of the people that are here in the community. So we've had the occasion to meet, as you've said, making some connections and really getting involved. And the result of getting involved and making those connections, doors will open up for you. People will see your sincerity and how much you want to be part of a growing community, which Temple is, and by all accounts is growing. There's so many things that are in the works to make Temple more than what it is. But the only way it can get there is that the community come along beside each other and work to make it what it should be.
Wow.
So saying all of that to say many of the folks that we have met on both sides of the tracks, if you will, has really opened their hearts and their homes to us and accepted Debbie and I for who we are, members of the community who want to do everything that we can to move the community forward and to be happy in the place in which we live. So all of that to say, when you saw Debbie in Text Appeal, that's really how that all transpired, is her making the connections with folks that work to make a difference in the community, and then she gets those opportunities that she's had. So you can talk a little further about that experience.
See, these guys are deep. These guys are deep.
That actually, the whole Text Appeal photo shoot really caught me off guard, and so it's I was dressed from head to toe by Zooties, and the owner is a woman by the name of Amy Thomas. And so shortly after we moved here and stores started to reopen, I started to ride around and try to explore the city. And so came across, I was wondering, what's the big ice cream over here at Joe's Italiano, or not Italiano, but Joe's Gelato and Italian restaurant. And there was another whole little series of boutique type businesses in this strip. So I went from one to the other, just saying hello and trying to understand, what kind of business do you have and what do you do, and trying to shop. Because I being a business owner, I like to shop small, and I like to support small businesses. And so there we were with this boutique, Zooties, that had a lot of the clothing line that I like to wear, that I'm accustomed to wearing from boutiques in Indianapolis. And so whenever I would go up and down 31st Street, stopping in Precious Memories and Woods Flowers and other businesses, the little food trucks, and along because I pretty much would poke my head pretty much in anywhere. I got really acquainted with some of the business owners, and so after buying and stopping in just to say, hey, I'm in the neighborhood, or stopping at Susie Q's or whatever to say, hey, what kind of dessert you got, or what's your soup of the day? The lady at Zooties, the owner of Zooties, said, hey, would you be in a photo shoot for us? And I thought, are you sure? And she said, "Yeah, I'd like that." So, so that happened. But like Randall said, it happened because I'm trying to figure out who's who in this city.
Right, right.
And I'm not talking about just the higher echelon, but I'm talking about who's who in this community. And so some of the things that we do as a business, a consulting business, my business in Indianapolis and the business that we have here in Texas is community engagement. And so it's really an art form to be able to be sincere and have integrity when you're talking to people about what they want their city to be and how their city should represent them and why inclusion and equity and diversity is important and how that becomes a part of every decision that is or should get made on behalf of the citizenry of a community. And so for me, for Randall, with our education, with our background, with the resources that God has given us, we both believe that we have to be intentional about who we know, who we get to know, what tables we're at, what conversations we're having. Because if I can be in a room where an elected official is making a decision around something that's going to impact me or my neighbor, and I feel some kind of way about it, I have a responsibility to say something.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what it is. If it's health care for women, that's top of mind right now for me because we both joined the NAACP, and I'm the Women in NAACP chair, relatively new. And so we were having a meeting yesterday on Zoom just about what are some of the top issues that we need to tackle as women in the NAACP and women's health care. So regardless of what the topic, if there's a table that I'm at, I can't be invisible
Right.
and not share a perspective if that perspective is going to be helpful. But I'm also of the same mindset like my grandmother used to say, if you don't have something good to say, then don't say anything at all. I'll turn that around. If you don't have something intelligent to say that's going to be beneficial for the cause, don't say anything at all.
That's great. That's awesome. I see a couple in the audience, and when you all was talking about romance, and I saw him slip his arm around his wife. You know, they've been married for 15 or 16 years, somewhere in that range.
That's good.
20.
And I like, wow. I said, but see, that's the impact right there. What you all say, people gravitate to, and they just respond automatically. You know, I didn't want them to know I was looking at them. I was. I look at y'all. I hear 1 hour over here and 1 hour over there at the same time. You know, how can they do that? Marty Feldman. But the idea is see, things can work together, and how, like say, you all complement each other, and that's what marriage should be. One complement the other, and not only that, one is not overbearing. One is not trying to lead the other, but you all walk together in unity and harmony. And that's what I see in you all.
Well, you know, I think everything that we do, Debbie and I try to be as genuine as we can be in everything we do and everyone that we interact with. But that genuineness starts with us being genuine with each other.
Yes.
We can't go out and, you know, be it and all and everything to everyone else without first being it and all to each other. So it's important that we have that connection, that we have an understanding about who we are as individuals, but who we are also as a couple. We're the Evans family, and everything that she puts her name to, my name is on it, and everything that I do in the community and put my reputation to, Debbie's also along for that as well. So we're not separate in our thinking and our actions so much as we do a lot of things together to support one another. And our main goal really is to be part of a community that's growing and be a contributor to that growth.
I see that I see that so well when they're, you know, how people are married, but they're separate at the same time. And I don't see that in you all, which is great. It's awesome. And, you know, y'all need think about doing a marriage class, of just talking to people, especially people who's been married for such a period of time, because sometimes the flavor or the salt has died into relationship, because what brought them here, they need to keep it going on. Like, you all have date nights. Teresa and I, we have date nights, and we talk about, small things while, she's talking while I'm eating, but the idea is, but like saying, it needs to be in the relationship. And regardless how many years you've been married or how many months you've been married, you still have to keep it going on.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be intentional, right?
Yes.
Because this is two grown people together in a relationship. And a relationship is built on principles. So you got to be clear about what are those principles.
Right.
What helps him to thrive, what helps me to thrive, and then how do we come together and be our absolute best as a couple. There are a lot of things that we do independently. Like I still travel with my girlfriends. I have several times through the year that in August I'm always going to be in Martha's Vineyard with my girlfriends.
Wow.
There's other trips, New Orleans and other places that we go. He's got guy trips that he takes and goes to Fort Worth to hang out with his buddies from time to time. So you may be a couple, but you're still individuals,
Right,
and individuals still need to be fed emotionally and spiritually, and those things that bring them joy. And so I know I bring my husband joy.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's
I
in his
believe and he brings me joy.
Yes.
But we both also get joy being the individuals that we are as well. But it starts with intention. And it also, I was telling somebody just the other day that, she said, so do you all, everything rosy? I said, 95% of the time things are rosy. But, there's going to be some times when we're not on the same page, or I may
Right.
not agree, or we may agree to disagree, but we never, ever go to bed mad.
That's scripture.
We
good.
don't wake up mad. It eats at him, it eats at me, so we have to get at that. So we try to resolve those differences and indifferences, because we don't need the friction that kind of hurt feelings and what have you.
Right.
It emanates in your whole household, and it can turn you off, it can turn your partner off, and it can ruin everything in your entire household. So things that irk you, that was one of my mother's words, irk. Those are things that need to be addressed.
Right. Yeah, the scripture does say, it says, don't let the sun go down on your wrath, because what it does, it festers, and then it grows, and then it's out of control. You got to learn how to go back. Okay, go ahead.
And just let me say, I know the Bible says, when it comes to marriage, the two shall become one. I didn't become Debbie when we got married. She didn't become Randall when we got married. We became one in a relationship, but we're still individuals. So, the biggest challenge that any of us will ever have throughout our lives is a relationship. And the reason I say that is because, you as an individual, you're raised by your parents to believe, to go to church. Your trial and error, the mistakes you've made, you learn from them, your experience in life, all culminate to who you are.
Right.
And then you meet that person that you think is your mate. They're coming with all the same things that make them an individual. So how do you make those two lives come together on common ground? Because you were raised differently than she was. Your faith was probably different. The church she went to was different. The food you eat is different. Your experience and you're with your cousins, your extended family, all that makes you who you are, and it also makes her who she is. So the challenge becomes, how do you make a relationship with someone that has a whole different life, belief structure, and experiences in life? How do you say that you're in love with that person and it works? And that's one of the most challenging things that we'll ever face, whether it be a professional relationship or a loving relationship. You're still taking who you are and partnering with that other person to make some common ground, whether it's professional, business relationship, or a loving relationship. It's one of the biggest challenges, and I think people lose sight of the fact that you don't have to become someone else to be in a relationship. You have to make sure you are who you are, with the understanding that you have to accept that person and what all makes them who they are in order for your connection, your love to last.
And that takes intention. So that's intentionality too. That we're recognizing that we're a couple, and yet we are individuals with certain things that we like to do as well. So he doesn't have to ask me for permission for quiet time. I know when I don't see him at the kitchen counter or whatever that, you know, he's off reading a book or he's talking to one of his buddies or whatever. I don't go through the house looking for him.
Who you talking to?
Right. When he says, "Hey, honey, I'm gonna go where," I don't go, "Well, where are you going?" Sometimes I do, but a lot of times I'm like, "Well, just be safe. Just be careful, or bring me back such and such from Joe's." But I think it takes the intentionality, and it takes a lot of trust in your foundation too,
Right.
and some sense of confidence of who you are, first and foremost, to be pulled together, put together into a union. You're once again two individuals, and you have to be confident in self in order to be confident in the relationship where the two have come together.
Man, I think if y'all are married, y'all need to listen to this. Y'all need to play this video back over and over again and find out where you are with your relationship with your spouse, because I mean these guys are talking, they're genuine. I mean,
Can I say something else too?
oh, you can talk.
I think, as a sister, I think that we as women, we also, and men as well, but we as women, I feel we really are a strong foundation for the relationship. I can touch and look at Randall in a certain way, and whatever he might have had going through him that might not have been, maybe he was getting ready to raise his voice or something, but I can look and touch him and it calms his spirit. And I know but that's my gift from God. I can calm a room that's in an uproar about race issues. That's the gift that God gave me. So I say this to say that the intentionality around being the best that you can be as an individual, and particularly as a woman, I love it when I put on a certain something and I see his eyes light up. So I'm saying that to say, yep, it was worth it for me to go to the gym this morning. It was, it was worth it for me to buy that lipstick that I love so much, because when I wore it the last time, his eyes lit up. It was worth it for me to put on a certain something because his eyes light up. So you were talking about what it took. There was a song, I don't know if Johnny Taylor sang that song or who sang it, but there was a song about whatever it took to get the person, that's what it continued to take.
Right.
And I've paraphrased it significantly, but I don't want him to look at me and not have a sparkle in his eyes. And same thing for him. I want to look at him and go, that's my man. Not in a jealous fashion, but that's someone that I am proud of. And it's not just the physicality of the person, but it's also the spirit within as well.
That's awesome. I mean, go ahead, man.
No, I have to say, obviously Debbie and I's love is new. We've been together almost 4 years. We've been married for over 2. But there's something to be said about people who have lasted in their marriage with that fresh love that my grandparents had, being married so long, and literally to their dying day. My grandfather was, he would smack my grandmother on the butt when she was at the stove cooking and kiss her on the neck, and she, oh, Walter, and
The kids
you
are
know,
looking.
and they were, not gray haired, they were white haired, and they were in their 90s, and still in love after all of that time. So it's not enough to simply say our love is new, because our love is intentional, much like my grandparents' love was intentional. Our love's going to be what it is. And I think it's important to be able to appreciate who you're in a relationship with, because that appreciation really pours into everything that you do. Debbie and I have been together 4 years now. I'm still opening the doors for her, and we'll never stop opening the doors for her. I don't want her touching the trash cans. That's my job, but she'll take them out anyway. But, there's certain things that I want to make sure that I, as the man of the house and as her husband, that I take responsibility for our household as well as for her. Those things are important to me. And it's important that I be allowed to do those things, because that is a type of love that I want to show her. So, when she takes the trash out, and baby, thanks for taking the trash out, don't touch them trash cans again. It's just those things are important for me to have that responsibility, but also that helps to translate the type of love and respect that I have for my wife.
Treat her like a lady.
Yeah.
It's all good.
All kinds of good songs, right?
Oh yeah. It's. I mean, they had some good songs back in the day.
Absolutely.
That was very, very open. And Teresa and I, we've been married for 34 years, and I still open the door for her, and and then when she take trash out, sometimes I got frowned up, but I let her do it though. But I do. But the fun part is that I when I come in from the gym, I take her supplies and put it in the car for her. And I stand out there and leave the lights on, and I raise the garage up, and I look around, make sure wasn't anybody out there, because I say, she's mine, I'm responsible, for her. And she doesn't say thank you, but I know she does, because when she come home that evening, that says thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's awesome.
Yeah, we don't have children at home. All our children are grown. I have 2 boys, and together we have 5 grandchildren. And because they're not at home, that's why our love is what it is. Because we have time to love on each other and have time to continue to grow in our relationship. But we love our children when they come. We love our grandchildren when they come or when we go and see them. They're part of our relationship. They're part of our family. The love Debbie and I have, it's unique unto both of us. I've not had this experience in my life, and she's not had the experience, which makes it fun for both of us.
But I'm so excited that Teresa and I got to know you all.
Thank you.
And now
I feel
that
the same.
you're open, your home up to us, and you open your heart up to us this evening, and just share who you all are. And not only that, but you all have not put any stoppage on this, and so I like that. I like the genuine, or as I say, bona fide conversation.
Bona fide, yeah.
Yeah, so I like that. I just like that about you all, and you all are going to do great things. Y'all have done great things, but y'all going to continue on to do great things, because you're connecting with the right source, the right people, the right venue. And when y'all do that, then I know things will work out just fine. And I like to talk about Debbie, because when we first went out to eat, and she got red snapper. I still remember that. I said, red snapper? What's red snapper? Because I'm not a fisherman. And it came out, and boy, she just...
No, it was Branzino.
Oh, it wasn't red snapper?
It was Branzino.
Yeah, it was
I'm
Branzino.
sorry, I was wrong. See, I tell you, I'm not a fisher.
Well, Debbie loves her fish. She's a pescatarian, so she doesn't eat meat, but she eats all seafood. So that's the other thing for us, is when we go somewhere for dinner, my first question, because I can find anything on any menu. Doesn't matter where we go, I can find something. But for me, it's always, okay, what do they have for you to eat? Because if there's nothing for her to enjoy, we're not going to that restaurant. And I don't care how good the steak is, if they don't have seafood or fish for her, we can't go. So it's just as important for her to have a meal that she's going to enjoy as much as it is that I have something I enjoy. So
Well, that was Branzino, but let me just tell you,
Oh,
I
Branzino. Okay.
Red
love
snapper.
some catfish. So it doesn't have to be anything super fancy, just some, again, I'm from Memphis.
Well, we have
So-
somebody that's in the audience that know how to cook catfish with no problem. Now,
Oh,
if
awesome.
he'll do it or not, I don't know, but
Oh, we need to
he's pretty
connect with
good.
him
He's pretty
because
good. So
we love some good food.
yes, and the chicken you had was good too. And
Do you
matter of
have no
fact,
chicken?
No, the chicken when you was at the brunch, when y'all brought us over.
Oh, yeah.
And I told Randall, hold on the second piece, cause I want to take it home with me. And he
You
never
left
gave
it.
to me.
I put it up for you. and you
Okay,
left
my
it.
bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he ate it. It wasn't
Yeah, that was
too-
some chicken. I said, boy, that's some good
Yeah,
chicken. I was
no,
like,
he ate
you know,
that
you know,
fried
when you first invited over someone's house for the first time, you don't just try to clean your plate. You know, you try to leave some, and you're like, man, I sure wish I should have ate that.
Yeah.
And you know, and then you stop off at McDonald's and grab something as you go home. You know, but
yeah,
you know,
that
so-
was your bad. You should have eaten it.
Well, you know,
McDonald's.
you know, people say, man, he's a glutton. Huh? You know, he's a preacher too. You know, that's all. You know, he tore it up.
Now we invite
He ate
you
the
over to
bones.
eat, not to starve yourself. So next time you come over, eat your fill, have as much as you like. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but we enjoy
Yeah, y'all tell
entertaining. We really want to be able to connect and meet people in the community.
Yes.
It's important to us. Debbie and I both not being from here, we don't necessarily have yet a core of friends here in the city. It's important for us to have that. So we're meeting as many people as we can meet.
Yes.
Trust factor is always a big issue for us. I'm an executive with the state, so it's critically important that I pay close attention to what I lend myself, my reputation to. But we're open to meeting people in our community. We love to entertain. We love to have people over. And for us, it's a lot to be able to connect, meet people in the community. And, you know, we're down to earth. We're real people. You know, it doesn't, like Debbie said, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It just has to be us. And being part of our community is everything for us.
That is. I mean, and you all down to earth. You know, and I was telling Miss Debbie that I have a lot of kinfolks in Memphis, and so you know, and I talked about the barbecue and the dry rub and all. So she said, she said, okay, like
Some good
you know,
food in
when you
Memphis.
from there, you know, it's like no big deal, you know. But you know, but you know, the other things that you all do is just phenomenal. I really do appreciate you all coming this evening, sharing
Well,
your time.
thanks for having us.
You know, I really do, and you know, like I said, we'll get to know more about you all at a later date. I know Mr. Randall was on here one time before, and he was off the chart because he had people popping in from Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube and everything. Because we were looking at it afterwards, and wow, look at this guy know a lot of people, and it was all coming from all over the United States that was popping in. So I know they're probably doing the same thing now. But the idea is it's good to connect and know people. It's very, because they are, you know, there was a song, and it says people need the Lord. And not only they need the Lord, but it says we need each other.
Absolutely.
And we're better together than we are apart.
Yeah, and that's really important. And I'm glad you said that, because you know, when you spend so much time someplace, you've often forgotten what most people are trying to learn about that space and that place. So because we're new, we see the growth in Temple. We see the potential. We see the opportunity. And we want those that are here, that have been here, born and raised here, to be able to see that, to see Temple anew. There's poster boards up, you know, love where you live. There's initiatives that are going on in the city that the city wants to take and refresh the areas in which we all live in. And that's a critical component for you to be able to start anew and see your city different than what it was when you grew up. You know, everywhere there's some bad blood. There's some bad history everywhere that we've gone, everywhere that we've lived. But when you start seeing that potential of us being able to come out collectively out of that space as a community, you want to take a different look at where you are. You know, I can say, though I've not been here 20, 30, 40 years, I can say from what I've seen and what I've heard, Temple is not that place anymore. We have a city council now that is diverse, with Dr. Grant going in as our city councilwoman. That's one change, one milestone that's not to be taken lightly. We have a city manager and a mayor who is interested in the diversity of our city. There's so many things going on in and around the city, and it takes everyone that's a citizen in the city, regardless of how long you lived here, to look at Temple as a different place. You might have a new neighbor that moved in on your street. You know, go and say hello. Welcome them to the community. Let them know how long you've been there. You don't necessarily have to be best friends with them, But I assure you, if you're going out of town, you want someone to be keeping an eye on your place,
Right.
and that might be that new neighbor that's going to stick their neck out and look out for you. But I encourage people in any city, not just Temple, but if you've been there for some time, you know what those woes are. You know what some of the challenges in that community have been. But take an opportunity to look anew, shop somewhere different. The stores that used to be open back in the day,
Right.
closed down, shut down, not there anymore. Look at what else is new in the city that you and your family can enjoy. And have some stake in your community. The future of the community really relies on everyone to be a part of it, not just the folks that are benefiting financially from it, but more especially the people that live and will drive these streets and walk these parks every single day. Those are the people who are going to benefit from the city's growth the most.
And I'm going to say to that as citizens, yes, it's important for us to embrace our home and to know what's happening in our home. It is equally, if not more so important for those people who we as citizens have placed in certain positions with a vote, that they have accountability and responsibility and a focus around making sure that there is equity in the quality of life and opportunities for the people they serve. And so we need to be on point as citizens and residents to let folk know what we want and what we need. And you might not be the messenger, but make sure somebody is the messenger. It's your pastor, or it's the neighborhood association, or it's the lady down the street that everybody thinks, she's always doing something. Well, let her do something for everybody's good, if that's what she does. It's NAACP or the Boys and Girls Club or something. Let someone be the messenger for the things that you and I need as citizens. And let's hold our elected officials, our public officials, responsible for what we have put them in office to do. And let's partner with them.
That's good.
They're not going to know that we want this, that, or the other unless we are sharing that with them, and unless we are holding them responsible for making it come to fruition.
And don't always come with a negative standpoint.
Sometimes you have to come with the negative standpoint, but I always like to say to folk that it's okay for us to voice our opinions, and they're not always going to be the same opinions. But at the end of the day, we have to figure out how you can do what you need to do, I can do what I need to do, and we're all going to be good at the end of the day. This whole notion of the haves, the have-nots, and then the folk in the middle, that's the elephant in the room to me.
Right.
That needs to be addressed, not just today, but consistently.
Right.
This is not a new issue.
Wow.
Yeah, and I tell folks, if you don't come in voice, come in number. Someone may speak on your behalf, but it's important for you to show up. We want a great community like everyone else. Whether you're in $1 million home or whether you're in a $60,000 home, you want peace in the neighborhoods you live in. You want a quality of life in the city that you live in.
You want your trees to be picked
up. You want your debris to be picked up. You want your trash to be picked up on time. You want to hold your neighbors accountable for not throwing, trash and things in the street because you all live there. But it's important to show up with the right attitude. Debbie's right. If what you have to say is negative to remind people what happened before, then say that, but don't let that bog you down from progress. Because holding on to yesterday, you're sure to be living in yesterday. But if you embrace tomorrow and think about tomorrow, that's where you'll go. But we can't hold on to past hurts, past anger, past frustrations, and expect to move forward in a place called the future. It's very difficult. I don't judge people. Some things have just happened to us that are so egregious, sometimes you can't move past it. But when you're intentional about moving past that and trying to take an opportunity to make a difference and accept the new, then you'll see new and you'll become a new. But it takes being intentional about that.
Wow. Last minute thoughts.
Sure.
Either or.
Well, I'll share mine. I know she's thinking about hers. Temple's a great community.
Yeah.
When we were living in Austin, we wanted a home with big trees, We didn't want to be all shoulder to shoulder with our neighbors. We wanted space to be able to live and grow. And we found that home here in Temple. And we absolutely have no regrets about this city. I drive downtown since January 10th. I've been driving downtown Austin every day of the week because of my role that I do. But I do work a hybrid position. In June, I'll start working few days at home and a few days in the office downtown. But the drive downtown Austin is absolutely worth it to me, to leave the home that we have and to return to a community like Temple. I'm excited. We're excited to be part of the Temple community. And though I drive an hour one way, an hour and a half the other way, it's worth it to come home to this community. It really is worth it to come home to the place that we call home. And I'm excited about the people that we've met thus far and the direction that we see Temple going. We have a phenomenal economic development member here in the city that's working with the city, that goes out to different cities, states, and countries to bring back corporations that they could set up shop and be part of the Temple community, which translates to jobs for folks that actually live here. The Meta Operations Centers being built just here off the south of 35. We have the FedEx hub that was built here. There's many businesses that are coming to Temple that are creating jobs. So with those jobs come new tax revenues to help build the city up and grow the city. A lot of projects going on downtown to make the downtown area fresh and new and attractive to newcomers. So all these things going on in the community. You can't sit idly by and watch these things happen around in the community that you grew up in and love and not take an active part in that, whether it's applying for one of those new jobs or taking your family out to see what these new spaces are and spending time in some of our beautiful parks. It takes intentionality as a citizen to enjoy where you live. So those are my last thoughts. Get active and get out in it.
Love where you live.
Love where you live.
Love where you live and be a part of the community.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whatever your community is. Maybe it's just your block. Maybe it's just your church. Maybe it's just your school. But be a part of the community. Figure that out.
And get to it.
And get to it.
Get to it.
Wow.
Because if you don't, it goes on to somebody. Those resources go to someone else to benefit from.
And if there's one thing I would say that would help drive that home for everyone, we absolutely cannot choose how we die, but we can choose how we live.
That's a good one.
We can choose how we live.
Yeah.
The scripture says that life is like a vapor. In other words, it's here, then it withers away. So in other words, while you're here, do what you got to do.
My grandfather would say, get busy living or get busy dying. Either way, you got to make something happen.
It was on Shankshaw Redemption, whatever. I like that. I still watch it, and I watched it about 12 times already, but it's still good,
Well, thanks again for having us. It's a pleasure to see you and spend some time with you and to speak to the listeners. We're appreciative that you all chimed in, and if you heard something that you like, just let Pastor Beeman know. We're available to talk to other people, and we're available to help out where we can and be a part of the community as well. So.
And I'm going to pump this video out to different people. So
Sure.
as soon as it's over and it uploads, I'm just and it shoots it out.
No problem.
Don't be surprised now. So we didn't put your phone number up there because we don't know who's listening. We don't want no unusual things happen. But if they just get in contact with the church, and then if they're legit, then I'll let y'all know.
Absolutely. I think the first time I
good.
was here, I talked about insurance and my job.
Yes, sir.
And I still hold to that. If someone is in need of assistance regarding an insurance claim, maybe their insurance company is not really helping them out with what they need, you don't have to hire an attorney for that. There is a state agency that regulates all aspects of insurance. So instead of contacting an attorney to help you out, call the Texas Department of Insurance to see if you can get some assistance on whatever your claim or issue is, because everyone has a boss. And in the insurance industry, it is the Texas Department of Insurance. All the insurance companies, insurance companies, insurance agents, they report to someone or some entity. That entity is the Texas Department of Insurance.
That's good.
So we have a few more minutes where we can get downtown to Imagine Temple, because that's been happening this evening from 5 until 8. So with a little bit of luck, we're gonna
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Explore
get
downtown.
downtown and explore downtown a little bit, see what's going on.
Yes, well, thank you all. Appreciate y'all coming.
Sure,
I
thank
know
you
you all
for
are,
having us.
are busy, and you know, Scripture said, I'm not Scripture said, but my instructor said God doesn't use nobody but busy people. So, you know, so you all are on track of what you're doing. And I appreciate and thank you all for coming in and just sharing your heart out and that romance and not only that, but just everything. I really do appreciate that. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, we're
Thank
humbled
you for
enough to
having
be
us.
here, so thank you for having us.
We appreciate y'all. Thank you for joining us again. New Day Fellowship Church, growing church, new vision for a multicultural generation. And we appreciate you all. Have a wonderful evening. Sayonara.